Hello everyone, Niev here, and we are ready to do the next installment of the Kami to Yokai Oracle. So each month I'm pulling one random card from the Kami to Yokai Oracle and doing some research on it and recording my information here in my journal. And this month I pulled Abura Akago. Abura Akago. And that basically, and I'm going to put this right up here, and that Abura right here, this kanji, means oil, and Akago, Akago means baby. So it basically translates to oil baby, and we can see he's quite a little gruesome figure right here. The lore on Abura Akago is that it's like a fiery ball. He's kind of a fiery ball that kind of lives around and searches for homes and to see if there's oil still burning in the oil lamps from the era that this came in. And and there's a whole story of it. I'm going to put up on screen in a moment what I've learned about Abura Akago. This is actually the first card in this book. So this book is completely in French. And I don't speak French, but so I am using Google Lens to translate in here. And this is the first card in the deck. As it is in alphabetical order, and it starts with Abura Akago. So I'm going to put this here on the screen, and if you speak French, you can pause it and read that, or you can use some Google Lens. So there we go. There's the information on Abura Akago. Now, I have also used other resources. This particular yokai was on the website yokai.com, which was very helpful. Not all of the yokai from this deck are on that site. And there's also a book that I am consulting. It's a Japanese folklore book, but this particular yokai was not in that book, so I didn't use that for this. And there was also a Wikipedia article on this yokai, so I did utilize that as well. So just covering all the sources that I used. All right, so I am going to put on screen the reel that I did decorating the page in this book for this yokai, and I will have a voiceover on that reel, so I'm going to put that on the screen right now. So it will be tall like this because it's a reel, so it's made for Instagram and TikTok. So yeah, that'll be on screen right now. Hi everyone, Niev here. Each month I'm pulling one card from the Kami to Yokai Oracle and doing a study of it here in my journal. And this month I pulled Abura Akago. So let's learn about Abura Akago. The Abura Akago was created as a cautionary tale for children. Abura means oil and Akago means baby. So this translates to oil baby. This is one of many oil yokai formed during a time when lamp oil was a costly commodity. Abura Akago starts out looking like a ball of fire and silently enters homes looking for oil lamps that have been left on. He turns into a baby, or sometimes a gruesome monster baby, and stretches his tongue out to the lamp, licking the oil. Other than being oil thieves and looking especially unsightly, Abura Akago is a harmless yokai. He serves as a warning to children to turn off their oil lamps before going to bed. They are also said to be what thieves in this life become in the next life as a punishment for their sins. For divination purposes, this card may represent annoyances, punishments, wastefulness, tasks and responsibilities being neglected, consequences, laziness, forgetfulness, pipe leaks at the home, in the vehicle, in the body, etc., and long-term consequences. In love readings, this card represents neglecting loved ones. A spark from a relationship is slowly diminishing, and this card serves as a reminder to maintain relationships. In occupation and education, this card represents paying attention to the details. An innocuous influence could be causing more damage than one thought. Make sure you dot your I's and cross your T's. Laziness could erode your hard work over time. In spiritual readings, this card represents doing the small work, the detail work, spiritual maintenance, the mundane work to maintain the spiritual self. And it could also be a reminder to banish stagnant spirits and/or elementals. For advice, this card is telling you to don't waste a good thing. Be mindful of your resources. Are you forgetting something? Pay attention to the small details. Tedious maintenance may seem pointless, but neglecting it will have long-term consequences. All right, thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I will see you next time. Bye! Okay, so this is the finished page. This was a lot of fun to do. Right here it says Abura, Akago, and then I have it in the hiragana right here. Now, this stamp that I did here, this was 2 different stamps, and one of to kind of mimic the like an oil lantern, I had like a potion bottle stamp, and I put the potion bottle right here, and then I kind of drew little like added things on here to make it look more like a lamp. And then I had a candle stamp that I just stamped right there in the middle. And yeah, so that was fun and creative. There we go. I like how this turned out. All right. And I did use some gold, kind of coppery gold marker right here to kind of mimic oil drips. Not sure if you can see that, if it's really showing up. It is kind of a dull metallic marker, but yeah. Anyway, so for the deck that I chose, I had a little bit of trouble figuring out what deck I wanted to associate with Abura Akago. So I was trying to decide between the Green Glyphs Tarot and the Squid Cake Tarot. And yeah, I really like both of these for this yokai. And I had some trouble trying to figure out which one I liked more. So what I ended up doing, so let me pull out these cards here. Move these over here. So these were the options. Let me move these up. Sorry about this. Yeah, so I kind of liked both of these for this creature. So I liked the feel of this deck a bit more, just because I'm thinking about the yokai and how they're kind of silly, like weird, gruesome creatures, but at the same time they're very baby-like, and they've kind of just working on instinct, and but you know they're kind of like gross, weird babies. So I don't know, there was something about that I liked the Squid Cake a bit more for. I thought these characters kind of gave that sort of weird vibe, and I like that both of these decks are smaller decks, because we're talking about a small yokai. We're talking about it's basically the size of a very large baby, you know, very large human baby. So I liked that both of these were small decks. But I like the coloring of this a bit more for this yokai, but I like the feel of this deck more. I feel like this one slightly has a better feel to it than this one, as far as connecting to this yokai. I don't know. It's all these like little. It's this kind of stuff that this one really called to me more for it, but the coloring on this is not quite right. If it was like this, but in more these colors, then it would have been perfect. You know what I mean? So what I did, I actually shuffled both of these decks, and I kind of did an asking the yokai, which deck do you like the most to represent you? And then I pulled 2 cards, and I kept them upside down, and then I flipped them over at the same time, and these were the cards I got. And they're kind of neutral. They're both kind of neutral. And you know, and I felt like I was leaning more towards this one anyway, so I ended up going with this one, but I sort of felt like either one of these could have worked for this being, you know? But I ended up going with this one. And then while I was decorating this, I was actually watching one of Angel's videos from Feeding My Soul, and she was doing her the Blood Moon Tarot, the walkthrough of that and stuff. So I was just watching her channel while I was decorating this page, and I was sort of thinking that I was sort of coloring this like the Blood Moon Tarot. So then I was like, maybe the Blood Moon Tarot would be a better option for this, because I do like the colors for that. And then there's, you know, because I was doing the oil drippy stuff, and it was kind of making me think of the honey in that deck. So then I pulled out that deck, and I shuffled that a little bit. I paused my video to shuffle that, and like, is this the deck you want? And I turned over a card, and it was the Tower, and I was like, okay, not that deck. So that was a little bit of a fun experiment, but we are sticking with the Squid Cake. So this will be the deck that I associate with Abura Akago. So there we go. So as I mentioned in the reel that I put in the middle here, Abura Akago is pretty much a harmless creature. there's not a lot to him. He's really interested in one thing and one thing only, and that is slopping up some oil. You know? And so and of course, since this is a yokai from a very specific time, I believe some of the information I had seen was that it came from the Edo period or Edo period. And so, and when, you know, oil was a, you know, costly commodity. So that makes sense that something like this sort of entity would be created. Yeah. So, and how would this yokai be relevant in today's world? You know, I think it really is pointing out wastefulness and throwing away useful things and a sort of long-term consequences. And that was kind of a big thing that I was focusing on with this. It's you know, the tedious tasks, the small things, the small details, things like that, things that we overlook or we get too complacent with, or maybe too lazy with, that in and of itself aren't a big deal, but over time can have lasting effects. And that was kind of where I was going with this yokai. And you know, divinatory meanings, like I was thinking sort of pipe leaks in general. So neglected items, neglected things that have just broken down over time. And that's kind of, yeah. So like pipe leaks, that could be in the home. It could be vehicle pipe leaks, like, you know, spilling oil. It could be any sort of, anything involving oil would be a big one with this, but leaks in general, and it could also be body problems with the veins, problems with let's see, blood flow, etc. That's really what I was focusing on when I was thinking of the divinatory meanings of pulling this card. So yeah, and I liked the, you know, thinking about using this card in spirituality readings, and this card coming up and representing that the doing the small work, doing the detail work, you know, like maintaining that spirituality by doing the mundane work. I hope that makes sense. But and like I said, it also to me represented clearing out those stagnant energies. So like banishing the elements, banishing pentagram, you know, lesser banishing pentagram stuff, yeah, etc. And that's what this card was representing for me. So let's do a little spread, and we're doing the same spread that I've been doing. I'm just gonna kind of stick with this until I feel like I don't want to do it anymore for these videos. So this spread was a spread that I just sort of came up with. It's a 3-card spread using whatever deck I had decided to attribute to this card, and we are using the Squid Cake. Now this is a Marseille, and I am not well versed on Marseille. I only have a few Marseille decks, I think maybe 3 at most. And Marseille has been on my list of things to study for quite some time. I just haven't gotten around to doing it, you know. So it's been a long time since I've, you know, it's going to be a long time until I do a Marseille study. So I might pull out the little book for this, but I have looked through the little book for this tarot before, and the interpretation seemed a bit more RWS. So like, and I don't know how different the Marseille interpretations are, you know, so I don't know. I guess I'll use the book with this, or I'll just go off of my own intuition on what it's saying. So the first position, we have this yokai here, and this spread is for the collective. You know, so if it resonates with you, then take it, and if it doesn't, then, you know, then don't take it. Yeah, so all right, so the first position is what does this kami or yokai, in this case a yokai, so what does Abura Akago want us to pay attention to? What does Abura Akago want us to pay attention to? And that's actually a good question for Abura Akago, because it's all about paying attention to those details. So what are those details? What's that detail that Abura Akago wants us to pay attention to? Now, in the last episode, the last video in this series, the kami wanted us to pay the yokai wanted us to pay attention to something that we shouldn't pay attention to. You know, and we could kind of read that here too, because Abura Akago wants to eat food, wants to eat the oil, you know. But yeah, so what do we need to pay attention to so that Abura Akago doesn't eat that thing? So, you know, whatever it is. All right, so what do we need to pay attention to? We are gonna go with this card here. Ooh, Ace of Cups. Oh my gosh, that's kind of perfect for Abura Akago. I have no idea if I'm in frame or not. Let's see. I think I'm in frame. Yeah, okay, I think I'm in frame. I'll move this up just a little bit. There we go. All right, so Ace of Cups. I mean, this is a card all about leaky pipes, leaky, you know, spills, or, you know, things like that. So there is perhaps a water something, you know, to pay attention. Like, I am paying attention to the fact that it's the Ace of Cups. It is an overfill of whatever it is, you know. So perhaps there's a sort of flooding sort of thing going on. It could be a literal flooding thing, but there's perhaps a lot going on with something, and an overfill of it that, if we don't pay attention, will overflow. And one of the things I'm thinking about is that if it's something that we feel like we have a lot of, that we may neglect it instead of taking care of it. And that overfill of cup may diminish over time, and before we know it, that cup will be empty, you know? So that's kind of where I'm thinking with this. So there's something that we need to pay attention to that we already have a lot of, like maybe even feeling like there's a surplus of this. There's an overwhelm of this. There's a lot going on with this one thing that, because of that, we may be keeping it off to the side. We may not be paying attention to it because we're like, oh, we don't have to worry about that. But that's the thing that we need to pay attention to. So what past experience led to this? So what happened in the past that led to this? All right, let's see. Let's go with this one. Ooh, the Queen of Coins. Okay, it was something we nurtured before. I mean, this was something we took a lot of pride and effort and really cared about before. So, and we've done a good job, because this is a pretty positive card, the Ace of Cups. So something's going on that that we put a lot of effort into. We've really nurtured and made sure that that this is in the state that it's in, you know? And so we still need to pay attention to that. You know, we still need to have that. So what advice does I was going to say, what advice does this being have for us? But I feel like that's like, this being is not going to give us advice. You know, this being wants whatever is being spilt and whatever's being neglected. That's what this being wants. So like, I think the better question is, what advice do we need to heed? Like, what do we need to do about this? All right. So this card. All right, let's see. The Two of Swords. Ooh, okay. Yeah, so kind of make a decision about something. Like we instead of letting whatever this is sit around and stew, it was something we cared about before. We've maybe put on the back burner because it seems good now, but there's going to be a decision that we need to make about this, and we need to just kind of go with our gut. Yeah, so that makes sense to me. Hopefully this makes sense to someone else out there. And if not, then this was just a fun little exercise. But there we go. So that is Abura Akago. I don't think there's much else to say about this now. So we're going to leave it as is, and I'm going to bring, this is probably one of my favorite ones that I've done, because last month I did, what was it? Last month, was it this one? Yeah, it was the Katsura Otoko, and then the month before that, we had the Yamori to Imori, and then before that, we had the Izanami no Mikoto. Izanami no Mikoto. So all of these turned out pretty cool. I'm really happy with how this one turned out. It's really cool. I like the idea I had here. All right. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I will see you next time. Bye.